Okay, so we made no changes technically there. Develop a standard procedures for homeowners' verbal and written input while attending meetings or as a response to items under consideration or of any other matter of interest to the resident. And the recommendation is previously a protocol was established that identified the board secretary as the focal point for inputs from residents. The secretary in turn would communicate, would forward the input to the appropriate board member. That board member would send an announcement to residents that, and they would communicate to the person that wrote the letter to get a response, so that anytime we have communication by a resident that that question, concern, or complaint would be addressed. And it wouldn't be the same person, it would be the person in kind of the liaison to that aspect of the community.
Let me add here that most of the things that that are being recommended here, I don't think require necessarily, unless you want to, a formal board action. So I would say just give input to Janice's desired year or after the meeting. Yeah. Okay. Give some input to Janice after the meeting, if you want, either during this meeting or after the meeting, so that can be taken into account unless there are any strong objections from anybody or any courses we need to change. We'll just go ahead and implement those changes unless there's something specifically the board wants to put on the agenda. Can you hear me okay? I'm sorry.
The next bullet was about the regular written broadcast, keeping the homeowners up to date on recent actions of board, its standards and ad hoc committees and operating support teams, as well as issues discussed at special meetings and forums or in working groups. So recently, this past year, thanks to Bob, we had the newsletter article in our newsletter, which did improve communication of board actions, and that I think has been received very nicely by the community. The recommendations now is to establish a schedule for committee reports at board meetings, and we started that last year and continue with that, and perhaps even put some of that in the newsletter. Any comments? No. The visibility and transparency to homeowners regarding new and old issues that have come before the board and the rationale where possible as to the decision-making process that occurred prior to the vote. Following board meetings, distribute via emails, newsletter articles, and bulletin board a summary of what transpired at board meetings, including the pros and cons of items that were presented for vote. This is in lieu of minutes. No comments?
The only comment I would make is sometimes you have to be careful what you publish because it becomes an official record of the organization. Correct, Bill? I just don't know what, I would...
Go ahead.
My
recommendation is everything should go through Bob.
That's... Mm-hmm.